I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Merit, at its core, is understood to be a form of recognition of one's excellence. Well, yes, of course, an achievement should be rewarded in a way, but in the context of whether or not merit is valuable is not up for today. If any state wants to prioritize in creating a proper educational system, then bestowing an already privileged group of people will not be a conclusive solution in fairness and equity. I am beyond proud to stand as opposition today to argue that the real priority should be assurance in accessibility to those who can even afford education in the first place. A few points for setup today. Firstly, scholarships exist as a bridge to opening opportunities in an equal way. So how can you say that by granting those who already has access to find resources or prep classes is the priority when there are many people out there who don't even have the fee to get into a school? On top of that, the hindrance to education is not of lacking talent, it is rather poverty. Many statistics have shown that in Indonesia itself, the reason for why education is inaccessible is because families are struggling to even put food on the table, let alone partaking in formal education. Secondly, merit-based scholarships encourages that it will mostly flow to those who are privileged instead of helping the vulnerable, and further widens the imbalance in reaching equal education. This is not just unjustified, it is betrayal of what scholarships are supposed to do. It truly paints a clear picture to us that the barrier to education is economic and not academic. Therefore, if propositions suggest a predominant form of merit-based scholarships, then they wouldn't be able to solve the root of the problem to injustice. On the stance of opposition, I will present 3 arguments to prove this. 1. Prioritizing financially based scholarships would decrease structural inequality. This means that anyone who is currently facing poverty is dealing with multiple disadvantages like limited access to good facilities or transportation. These are systemic failures that forces people out of school. However, financial scholarships can address this by removing that cost barrier, ensuring that disadvantaged groups can have a chance at education. When systemic obstacles are reduced, we can expect dropout rates to decline among poor households, students being able to transition into higher and/or better education, and talent can actually be discovered from diverse backgrounds as opposed to strictly granting wealthy groups. 2. Merit-based scholarships are biased towards the privileged. Achievement is so strongly influenced by someone's environment and resources. For example, wealthier families can afford technology, quality schools, or safe housing that provides them a consistent head start to achieving every measurable index of merit, like, for example, higher exam scores, proficiency in foreign languages, or extracurricular activities. Meanwhile, poorer families are suppressed by these economic barriers that hinder their ability to do just the same. Imagine 2 students, one comes from developed areas like Jakarta, attending private schools, has private tutors, and a stable home with internet and books. And the other comes from a rural village who studies in an underfunded school and has to work after that to support their family. When both apply for an achievement-based scholarship, who is more likely to be granted? Of course, is the first student, not because they are smarter, but they had equipped resources that assist them in achieving merit. The second student may be just as competent, but they don't have a fair chance in the first place because of the economic barrier. If the state prioritizes that policy, the rich will stay educated and successful while the poor remain excluded. And by contrast, if financially based scholarships are put into precedence, it's beneficial for underprivileged groups to form sort of a starting line. And this allows genuine merit to surface instead of just privilege. 3. Prioritizing need-based scholarships supports social mobility and fairness. Education is a powerful tool for climbing the social ladder, but structural inequality puts poor families in a state of restriction inside of poverty. If we could intervene with financial support, it removes that economic barrier and creates a fair way for poor people to move up in society. When financial aid programs like kipk or bidikmisi are implemented, it has been shown that dropout rates fall dramatically and people from poorer households are more likely to continue to pursue a higher education. And this shows us that need-based scholarships are a structural solution that can break the cycle of poverty. And they allow people to secure a decent job and construct a stronger middle class. So if we prioritize need over merit, social mobility will no longer be stagnant and no disadvantaged communities will be left behind. And that is why we must understand that financial barriers are most relevant to fulfilling the principle of scholarships. And proposition sacrifices access for the sake of prestige, while ours protects fundamental access so that we ensure inequality doesn't have the space to develop, and it is the effective way of achieving greater education and social mobility to truly flourish. Merit without equality is privilege, but equality before merit is justice. And for all these reasons, I am very proud to oppose. Thank you.